Hello, everyone. My name is Tyler Elders, and I'm an instructional coach here at Enid High School in Enid, Oklahoma. I'm also a graduate student at East Central University, and today we're going to be discussing something that's near and dear to my heart, and that's special education. Uh, as most of you are probably very well aware, we have a significant issue with special education whenever it comes to the funding that's available and the amount of money that it takes to provide for our special needs students and ensure that we're doing everything we can to see them grow and be successful. Let's kind of dive into it. So, give you a little bit of background about Enid High School here. We do have a much larger special ed population than the national average of 15%. And that creates challenges for us, especially in this area. And as someone who cares deeply about special needs students in my community, I see how funding shortages limit what we can do at Enid High School. So, just to give you guys some background, the federal government, through IDEA, promised to cover 40% of special education costs, but only provides about 14% of that funding. So not quite delivering on those promises. In Oklahoma, this forces districts like Enid to pull from general education budgets. It leaves a tremendous amount of stress on administrators to hire, train, and retain special needs teachers. You see this especially in rural areas where the local funding is very fixed in terms of what we can expect. And so whenever we are underfunded in any capacity, especially when it comes to special needs students, it leads to teacher burnout. It leads to teacher turnover. Guys, if you don't know, in Oklahoma, we've seen a 17% drop in special education teachers since 2005. That's jaw dropping. And I truly believe that one of the biggest issues is the lack of funding. Without those funds for competitive salaries, for professional development, our teachers leave. They have other opportunities in the community, and they seek them. As special educators, if you've never had an opportunity to do that, I strongly encourage it for you. It's one of the most rewarding opportunities that you'll ever encounter in this career. But guys, it's taxing. It's extremely emotionally, physically taxing, and it can just wear you down. And it's very important that we provide training for our teachers and provide competitive salaries so that we can keep those people in the building. Um, so local advocates in Oklahoma, Roseanne Duplan is one of them, worried that losing federal funds could devastate rural districts like Enid. The discussion out there right now is what's going to happen to the federal funds, especially with the U.S. Department of Education. And so a lot of people are concerned. And so another example of something to keep in mind here is that Oklahoma special education teacher shortage is at 9%, and Enid feels this very, very deeply. Despite over $180 million in federal funds, there's still a 30% gap in training resources, and and that makes programs functional but limited, and that's never a good place to be, especially when we're talking about special education and meeting those students' needs. So here's my take on it. Here's what I've learned through all this. I used to think that special education was underfunded but manageable. Now I see a system that's stretched just incredibly thin. Federal funds don't deliver enough, and Oklahoma's state budget can't fill the gap, guys. This hits staffing hardest for sure, leaving schools like mine unable to meet the needs of our kids. So the problem isn't just money, and that's an important thing to remind ourselves of here. It's how it's used. Too much money goes to administration and outdated practices instead of practical solutions like hiring qualified teachers or providing ongoing training. And especially how it hits home here for us. Here in Enid, our above average special education population needs more than just functional programs. We need dynamic, individualized supports for our kids, and that consistency within our program where not only do we retain great teachers and build that part of the consistency, but we provide the training needed so that we're providing the best type of education and care for our kids as we possibly can. So how are we going to fix it? That's the magic question, right? Um, so in my mind, we have to increase federal funding to some capacity. I think Congress should raise idea contributions closer to what they promised, closer to that 40%. And that would make a huge impact for our kids and our teachers, especially here in my community. We also need to prioritize staffing and training. Funds should go directly to hiring more special education teachers and offering a better mentorship and a more tailored mentorship for special education teachers. Um, and at the state level, Oklahoma needs to allocate its budget smarter, honestly, and focus on rural districts like Enid, where shortages are the worst. Even small increases in training funds could make a huge difference for us. And the community advocacy piece, parents and educators in Enid should push for transparency on how funds are spent. They do, they certainly do, but um, guys, a lot of times the special education community isn't the loudest voice in the community in terms of the stakeholders advocating for their kids. So, and of course, we know sometimes that very much is the case, and that's a whole nother conversation. Um, but to wrap everything up, guys, we've got a critical problem that we all need to take a long, hard look at, and it's how we uh, attempt to meet the needs of our special education students. And right now, we just do not have the funds to do it to the best of our abilities. We certainly don't. And this idea that it's functional but it's limited, that should never be our goal in education. Trying to reach a goal of good enough is not the standard that we should be setting for ourselves or for our kids. So, what I'd love to see more of is more federal funding for sure, and maybe a different kind of focus at the state level on how some of the funds get distributed for everyone. So that's what I'm pulling for here. Thank you guys for listening. Hopefully, some of the things I said made you think. Maybe you don't agree with everything that I threw out there, and that's quite okay too. But I appreciate your time and checking in with me. Y'all have a great day, and go Tigers.